Let's begin now.
How's it everyone, Grant here, and welcome back to another camera comparison video. This time I've got the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 and Google Pixel 2 XL. And like I normally do, I'm going to show you a bunch of photos and videos in all kinds of lighting conditions. And as it always is, this is just intended to help you make a purchase decision, or maybe you're just curious as to how these two compare and you're not able to compare them yourself. So I think I'll make a little bit of a prediction this time, just because I've been using each of these phones and their cameras independently for a while now. I think the Google Pixel 2 XL will probably take it in still photos, just because of the detail and dynamic range that it produces. I just like that better. And the Note 8, I think, still takes fantastic photos, but they tend to come out a little bit softer. So my prediction there for stills will be the Pixel 2 XL. I think for video though, I think this is where the Note 8 will shine and come out on top, just because in previous usage of the Pixel 2 XL camera, the color reproduction hasn't been that great. It's had some audio issues, although they have improved, but Samsung has historically had some great audio recording capabilities, so I think for video, the Note 8 will probably take that. But let's go ahead and take a look at all the photos and video, and I'll come back at the end, and I'll let you know what I think after reviewing all the results. guys, so here we are in the park, just shooting a quick 1080p 30 frames per second clip here. Give you an idea of what the video quality looks like on each. I'll just leave it still here so you can see what the quality looks like before I start panning around. And right now in the viewfinder, at least, the Note 8 looks like it has some better colors, but you never know until you get it off the phone and onto the computer. We can test some of the zoom here. So here's the Pixel 2 XL. Zoomed in all the way. Pretty steady, but maybe a little grainy there. Back it out. Test the zoom on the Note 8. 2x zoom there. And we'll go in all the way. 10x digital zoom now. And that's actually pretty clear and very steady for 10x digital zoom. That's actually looking pretty good. We'll back it out. And we can try to test some focus here. So I'll do one at a time because getting them both to focus on the object is kind of hard. So here we go with the Note 8. Focus in really quickly. Back onto the post. Locks in real quick. So nice focus speeds here from the Note 8. And now with the Pixel 2 XL. Focus in. Back away. Back onto the post. And it locked in right away too. So both very good, providing some really nice shallow depth of field here. And some quick focus. So we can do a quick stabilization test. So I'll walk down the stairs. Give you an idea of how these are stabilizing here in 1080p. Both should be really good. They both have stabilization here, especially at 1080p 30 frames per second. So hopefully this gives you a good idea of what the quality as well as stabilization looks like at 1080p 30 frames per second on each camera. Hey everyone, and we're back here at 1080p 60 frames per second this time. So I'll do the same kind of test here. I'll just hold the camera out here so you can see what it looks like, stabilized and not moving around. We'll pan around a little bit here, move over to the famous cell tower, and we can test the zoom here in 60 frames per second, see if it's any different here. So I think we have a little bit shorter zoom here on the Pixel 2 XL, and it's looking even more grainy. It's still very stable. Zoom back out. And on the Note 8, we don't have 2x optical zoom here in 60 frames per second, but we'll zoom in all the way, and it looks like we still have our 10x digital zoom there. Looks a little bit more grainy, I think, in 60 frames per second here. Back it out. We try focusing again here on the Note 8. So there we go, locked in focus pretty fast. Back in on the post. So focus speed still seems to be pretty good. Maybe a little bit slower, I think. So yeah, there we go. Focus back out, and now it's focused. So focus speeds here in 60 frames per second. It will focus, but it's a little bit slower. There we go. Now we'll try on the Pixel 2 XL. That focused in pretty quickly. Let's move it away. So focus speeds here on the Pixel 2 XL seems to be a lot faster at 60 frames per second than the Note 8. Alright, and we'll go ahead and do a stabilization test at 60 frames per second. This is where things usually get a little bit more shaky. So we'll see how this looks. Walking around here at 60 frames. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of the quality of the video here, as well as stabilization at 1080p 60 frames per second on each camera. Alright, and lastly here we go with the same test in the park at 4K UHD quality. So again, I'll just leave this steady here. Give you an idea for the quality just standing still. And now we'll pan around a little bit and move over to the cell tower. And we'll test the zoom in 4K here. So again, first with the Pixel 2 XL. This actually looks not bad. The colors are looking kind of off here on the Pixel 2 XL, but that's just in the viewfinder. We'll see what it looks like when we get it into the computer and out onto YouTube. And now we'll go with the focus or the zoom here on the Note 8. We do have our 2x zoom here in 4K back. We do not have it in 60 frames per second. And we'll zoom in 10x digitally in 4K on the Note 8. See what that looks like. Still pretty stable at 10x zoom in 4K there. Zoom it back out. And again, we'll check out the focus speeds here in 4K. So first with the Note 8 on the post, locked in pretty well. and it locked in immediately when I took it away. Back in on the post, locked in immediately, and again away. So a lot better focus speeds than it was in 60 frames per second 1080p. So here's the Pixel 2 XL. Again, focused in really quickly, and focused in quickly when I moved it away. One more time on the post, and move it away. So both are focusing in really nicely here, and providing great shallow depth of field. So we'll go ahead and move on to stabilization test as I walk down the stairs here in 4K. So the Pixel should do really well here. It's got probably some of the best stabilization, if not the best stabilization at 4K. See how the Note competes with that Pixel stabilization. The Pixel looks like it's on a gimbal usually, even at 4K, so that's pretty incredible. So it's a good test to see how the Note 8 can handle stabilization compared to the Pixel here at 4K. So now let's test out the front-facing cameras here outside, both at 1080p. I know the Note 8 can do 2K. We're gonna go apples to apples here at 1080p. We'll also start walking so it gives you a better idea about stabilization. So here's some of the image quality with some bright sun behind me. So the sky might be a little bit blown out. See how each of the cameras are handling that, as well as the stabilization now that I'm walking. So if you like to film outside, you like to vlog, you like to move around with your front-facing camera, hopefully this gives you a better idea of what not only the quality looks like, but what you can expect as far as stabilization. Okay everyone, so here is some low light footage from the rear facing cameras on each phone in 1080p, 30 frames per second. I'll just hold it here for a little while so you can kind of see how the footage is looking while I'm stable and not moving around. I'll just go ahead and pan around a little bit here. And then I'll do a little walking, so we'll test the stabilization in low light on each of these phones here. Sometimes in low light, the stabilization can get thrown off. So we'll see how that looks here. And when I get to the end here, I'll just do one quick pan around again. And then we'll test the zoom here. So Pixel 2 XL, zoom, full zoom, looking a little bit grainy, at least in the viewfinder here. But again, pretty stable. I'll pull it back out. And we can test the zoom here on the Note. So 2 times zoom on the Note there. And we can go full 10 times digital zoom here. And that's also pretty grainy here in low light, but that is a 10 times digital zoom. And again, panning around, but it is stable as well. So that is just a quick test of the rear-facing cameras here in 1080p and some low light. And we're back again here with another low light sample test, this time at 60 frames per second and 1080p. Also note that there's a lot of background noise with the running water there. So check out how the audio sounds against that loud background noise from each phone. And I'll go ahead and walk around and we can test the stabilization at 60 frames per second. See if you see any difference from 30 frames and what the overall quality here looks like as we move around. And then again, we tested zoom using 60 frames per second here. So Pixel 2 XL. Actually not as grainy because I don't think it zooms in as much at 60 frames. I could be wrong. But it's definitely not looking as grainy. And we can go ahead and test out the Note 8. Again, no 2 times optical zoom here at 60 frames. But you still do have 10 times digital zoom. And that's still just as grainy as it was in 30 frames per second, at least from what I can see. It's still fairly stable here. Some focus hunting. And we'll pan around one last time, but that is again 60 frames per second here on each camera in low light. And here's one last low light test in 4K from the rear-facing cameras on each phone. Give you a look at what that looks like here in 4K. And again, we can do a stabilization test and just walk around. Again, the Pixel 2 should be doing better, as it generally has better stabilization even at 4K, but we'll see how the Note holds up here and competes with the Pixel's image stabilization here. And again, we test out the zoom in 4K. So that's the Pixel 2 XL. Not looking too grainy actually here. So that's pretty good. And the Note 8, 2 times optical zoom there. And we can zoom all the way in 10 times digitally. And of course that's still going to be pretty grainy. 10 times digital zoom in low light, you would expect that. Back that out a little bit. So that's half zoom. And it definitely clears up some of that noise, but it's still kind of there. I'll zoom it back out. So there you go, 4K sample video here from the rear-facing cameras on each phone. here is some front-facing footage at 1080p from each phone, and the Note 8 can do Quad HD. I'll get a sample review of that in low light here. But I'll pan around just to see how the cameras do with exposure and whatnot here in low light. Sometimes I can really throw a camera off. Sudden changes of light there. Looks like both are handling it pretty well though. And I'll go ahead and actually do a little bit of walking here, so we'll test the stabilization in low light at 1080p in the front-facing cameras. Just to give you an idea what that looks like here. And one last pan at the lights in the background there. So that's just a quick sample footage from the front-facing cameras in 1080p. Hey everyone, so I just wanted to end this video with some low light camera footage from the front-facing cameras with the Note 8 in its highest Quad HD resolution up against the Pixel 2 XL and its highest 1080p resolution, as well as give you my thoughts and opinions on which cameras I thought performed better. And I don't know about you, but it was pretty close, especially for the still photos. I really thought the Pixel 2 XL would wipe the floor with the Note 8, but to my surprise, I actually liked some of the Note 8 photos better than the Pixel 2 XL, and a lot of them were ties to me where I could have gone either way. But overall, I liked a few more photos from the Pixel 2 XL more than the Note 8, so I would have to give the still photo win to the Pixel 2 XL, but not by as much as I thought. And especially in portrait mode up against the Note 8's selective focus, I think the Pixel 2 XL's portrait mode performs much more consistently, has much better dynamic range and details up against the softer look of the Note 8's selective focus. And this is where I think Samsung has a lot of room for improvement, is that selective focus or portrait mode here in 2018. And so hopefully we see that with the upcoming release of the Galaxy S9. And so as far as video recording, let's first start with video image quality. And this is another area that I thought was very surprising. I really thought the Note 8 would easily win in video image quality here. And I actually preferred the Pixel 2 XL's image quality for video recording in 1080p for the same reasons that I liked its still photos. It just has better dynamic range, a lot more detail, but I think a lot of folks would prefer the Note 8's still photos and video image quality because it's brighter, but to me it's just a little bit too soft, especially in 1080p video recording. Now 4K, that's where Google really has to improve. The color reproduction on the Pixel 2 XL in 4K is really bad. I don't know what's going on there, but I'm really hoping they can provide a software update to improve that, just like how they've improved the audio quality. And so as far as audio quality goes, while the Pixel 2 XL's audio quality has improved, especially with the Android 8.1 update, I do believe that Google has a little bit ways to go, and the Note 8 clearly sounded better to me. And that's not really a big surprise. I think Samsung has historically had really good audio recording. And so audio recording, at least to my ears, the Note 8 won hands down. So those are just my opinions and what I think, but I'm really more interested to hear what you think. So leave a comment down below with which cameras you preferred and why, or just general questions and comments are always welcome. And as always, thanks for watching.